55 X-rated history facts not taught in schools. According to Reddit, number 55. God damn it. Why are those on for when I'm recording and not live streaming? Number 55, Spartans had a lot of gay sex. All those big manly warriors in 300 loved a little game of hide the salami. And there's a GIF attached here. Not that there's anything wrong with that. No, of course not. Look, man, I don't know if they said no homo or not first. Number 54. There's a theory that the reason why Elizabeth I never married and died a virgin was because she was molested by Thomas Seymour, brother of Jane Seymour and husband of Catherine Parr. When she was a teenage girl, she was supposed to be under his protection, staying at his house. How fucked is that? A response to this reads, I have heard that she may have been molested by him and that he later tried to force her to marry him. This may have contributed to her lack of desire to marry. However, the marriage issue is more likely attributed to her not wanting to share power with her husband. In those days, and up to not long ago, I'm sure you know that a woman, probably even Queen of England, lost most of her rights upon marriage. Even if her husband remained prince consort and was not crowned king, she likely would have lost at least some power to him. That's the way it works, man. You gotta find a way to keep that power. Number 53. May I add that LBJ called his penis Jumbo. Oh, John Jumbo. And he had a habit of proving it to anyone that walked into the White House. He also liked to call meetings and then proceed to drop a deuce with the door open. Come on now, LBJ. Somebody said, I remember that one Secret Service officer said bluntly that if LBJ had not been in the White House, he would have been forcefully committed to a less pleasant institution. I love that. That's an old-timey insult for you. If you were not in this White House, you might very well be committed to a less pleasant institution. What did you say to me? Number 52. They do teach this in schools, but it's pretty grim. Edward II of England was killed by a red-hot poker being shoved up his ass. Ouch. Why you gotta write ouch, idiot? Apparently because his killers, his wife and her lover, didn't want to leave a mark on him for when his body was displayed in public. So they shoved a fucking burning hot poker up his ass to kill him. We could drown him. No, that seems too complex and drawn out. How about a red hot poker up the ass? What the fuck? Number 51. That ancient Romans pretty much fucked anything with a pulse. What about without a pulse? You guys are telling me you're not putting your corpses to good use? Oh, and many things without. How'd I know I'd find this in the responses? So a response to that response says flora, fauna, fire. They had sex with rocks painted with God's faces on them. It was a horrible place. Yeah, I love the Professor Brothers. Okay. Well, there's something I've been meaning to tell you about the college at the end of the town. Number 50. I remember leaning in school. Leaning, huh? Must have been pretty sweet. You slacker. Just leaning on stuff. Better make sure those things are properly anchored. You wouldn't want to just shift your body weight onto something that couldn't handle it and then fall over. You'd look like a fool in front of your friends. You're looking like a fool. You should have checked what you were leaning on. Jeez. I remember learning in school that American Indian societies were largely matrilineal, with uncles looking or taking on more fatherhood roles. I didn't figure out the reason until reading that they were pretty much fuck anyone at the time, so no one knew their dad. It was easier to know who their mom was, though. Oh, shit. Them Indians just fucking all over the place. You don't know who their daddy is. You don't know who the daddy. We need an Indian Mari. And not Indian like dot on their head Indian, but Indian like wah 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 wah. You know what I'm talking about? Number 49. Stalin had sexual relations and impregnated a 13-year-old girl while in his 30s. Oh shit. Somebody's modern sensibilities are not going to be okay with that. If you got a problem with this dude fucking a 13-year-old girl and impregnating that bitch, put it in the comment section. Damn, that bitch hit puberty fast, baby. I'm not condoning it. I'm not condemning it. You know, I'm not saying that it's okay to do this with a 13-year-old. I ain't looking for a 13-year-old. Neither should you guys be. But I'm just saying, back in the day in America, you know, it really wasn't about the age. It was just like, hey, look at that one. Come over here, bitch. Look at them titties. Nice and tight. You know what I'm talking about? Put this corset on. Do your hair up. Yeah, this is my wife, guys. But I don't want to be. Shut up, bitch. For I give you my, I will not spare you the rod, ya ho. And then she says, okay, yes, I'll know my place in the kitchen. Man, women, y'all had it rough. I'm sorry, but hey, times are changing and that's good. It's good for all of us. A lot of us had it rough back in the day. A lot of us are just lucky to be born in a time where they're not out here persecuting us, at least in public. You know what I mean? At least they scared of the shame that would come with us, I don't know, videotaping them and going, look how racist this guy is. And they're like, okay, no, I'm not racist. No, I'm not racist. I'm not sexist. I love ladies and I love the blacks. I have a black woman friend. That's right. Number 48, that a lot of slavery throughout human history was about sex. It's true. It's funny that this one is only 48 because when I was making the thumbnail to this list of 55 X-rated history facts, this could easily have been a picture of a slave. You know what I'm talking about? Because I looked up slaves first. But I was like, what am I going to do? Get a picture of like some kind of famous looking old school president and then have him just behind like a slave, like he trying to fuck her or some shit. I don't know, man. Sounds like a lot of work. Just look up a picture of Monica Lewinsky and Bill Clinton, you know, because he gahoogadied that Gershmoigel. He got all in there. She bopped on his schmeckle. And she got that DNA spliz splattered all over her blue dress. And if it weren't for that, then, you know, Clinton, tricky dick Bill Clinton may have gotten away with it. You know what I mean? He told us he did not have sexual relations with that woman. And you know what? He did. But hey, he still did a lot of great stuff. Okay? So Bill Clinton's pretty cute. And fuck Hillary Clinton, man. Which is what he didn't do. He fucked this one instead. Hi-yo. Number 47. Oh, clarification. The question being asked is, what X-rated history facts don't they teach you in high school? Number 47 reads, Allied troops raped around 2 million women en route to Berlin during World War II. Mostly Soviet troops took part in rapes, but every other country in Allied forces did so, including the U.S. Well, it's war, but it doesn't excuse the conduct of the men in uniform. Look, man, we've said it before. Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. You put a gun in your average man's hand, and he is like lawfully allowed to carry that. You know, nobody's coming down on him going, you can't just go around shooting people. He's like, I'm a police officer. I'm a military officer. I'm power tripping right now. I have the state and my country behind me. You better take off your clothes. You better suck this dick, or I'm gonna put a fucking bullet in your head. And that's probably too real for a lot of people listening to you. But that's your history, you know what I'm talking about? That's the country that you're living in. And this country stood on the backs of young men that is sent overseas to fight a war over, you know, petty squabbles that old men had about shit that they inevitably really didn't care about, like irrelevant shit. You know what I'm talking about? It'd be like you and me getting into an argument about what's better, Star Trek or Star Wars, and then you and I have enough money and we got enough power to be like, you know what? I'm gonna get 50 men. We gonna send them out in that field, and you bring your 50 men. We put them out in that field, and who are we gonna fight to the death? And whether or not the Trek the Trek army or the Wars army wins will determine whether or not Star Wars or Star Trek is the better one. And by the time all of those people are dead and maybe just two people on one side survives, they come over and they go, dude, the Star Trek side won. I guess we just had the intellect to take care of that Star Wars loving pieces of crap. We're going to be like, what? Nah, man, we don't care about that anymore. We talking about Doctor Who versus Marvel now. You two, even though you're on the same side, fight over which is better now. And they'll go, we don't want to do that. We just wanted to live our lives. We're young. And the other guy goes, yeah, I wanted to live my life. I'm young. Besides, Marvel is clearly better, you know? And then the other guy goes, what? Not my doctor and my TARDIS. Nummy, number 46. Let's go ahead and read some rape. Fuck, it's not a Kyle list without rape, but it wasn't kid rape. Fuck me. If Catherine was only a teenager, no, if Elizabeth the First was only a teenager, and what we're to believe about her being raped is true, then that is kid rape. So kid rape is in this list as well. We gotta find a list without kid rape, man. Jesus hell. But let's read the comments in response to the slavery rape, you know, since it was all about sex. Somebody said a lot of human history and then they crossed out slavery is about sex. Well done. So the response to this one about the troops raping people reads, unfortunately, I doubt an army has ever marched on another country and not raped some women or stole some of their shit. They raped and they saved. Can we stop the Chappelle references? Number 46. Hans Christian Andersen had a masturbation diary. Say word? He would even rate his faps. Wow. Somebody said this is a great idea, actually. I might start one. I mean, I've masturbated so many times. Who knows what great wanks I've forgotten? Okay. Somebody says the first thing I do is try to forget about it and pretend I'm happy for a few minutes. Somebody said things got real too fast. I don't want to be here anymore. Came here to learn, not to feel. You fucking cucks. As we travel up the list of 55 X-rated history facts that the school don't want you to know. Teachers hate him for what he's saying about the history of the United. Well, that not just United States history. Shut up. Shut your mouth. You shut your mouth. You shut your mouth. Number 45. In Victorian America and England, ladies' dresses were often so large and difficult to remove that underwear had to be crotchless so that they could squat over the chamber pot without taking off their dresses. Since we're talking about shitting, you know why they call it a stool sample? Toilets were often nicely padded and looked like little stools when rich people had the money to get one. You know, instead of shitting over a hole in the winter at 3 a.m. More shit, you ask? Sure thing. Did you know that the heels became more popular among women because ladies' dresses would often reach the ground, which was kind of an issue since most of the Victorian streets were covered with an inch or two of manure. On the note of manure, New York had a manure crisis in 1894. There were too many horses shitting on the streets, and the manure was too heavy to carry out and too frequently replenished. That only way to move it was with more horses that would continue shitting. This is why cars became the norm. Well, shit didn't jumpstart the idea of the car, son. So, and then he goes, no shit. You shut your mouth. This fucking guy, only on Reddit. This guy. Somebody said, wow, the shit you learn. For shit's sake, what a crap load of information. You take your upvote and you get out of here. Number 44. Cleopatra was obsessed with sex and used to experiment with dildo technology. Ah, the old knob on a stick. That is a veiled Carl Pilkington reference, guys. You know, the Ricky Gervais show, starring Stephen Merchant and Carl Pilkington. You sound crazy to people who don't know, but maybe someday they will know. Talk about things to lift you up on a sad day. If you haven't seen the Ricky Gervais show, go check that shit out. They make fun of a simpleton, but he's adorable, and you'll laugh. He's like the British Homer Simpson. So you heard it here. Go watch that Ricky Gervais show. Only if you've run out of Kyle videos to watch. Don't think I don't know, alright? Don't think I don't know. Number 43. A mob killed the Dutch Prime Minister and his brother in 1672 and cooked and ate their livers right there. Ugh. It also may have been instigated by the fucking head of state of Holland at the time, which makes it several magnitudes more fucked up in my book. And eat their livers. Do it right there. Jesus Christ, that made me like retch a little bit. Also, several Dutch people have told me now that this is covered in Dutch schools. I honestly thought it was a given that would be touched in the Netherlands because it is a pretty fucking important detail in the formation of the Dutch monarchy. I'm sorry I overlooked that in my original post, but that doesn't seem to be the case for quite a few countries. Come on now, man. Number 42, y'all eating livers? Y'all killing people and eating their livers, burning them up and eating that liver? Yeah, let's get that liver out. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if, much like the chickens, right, we had something in our human bodies that tasted great to the average human? And you want to know the scary thing is, most of us will never know because, thank God, perhaps a stigma may have been, and look, I hate to come off like a conspiracy guy, but like I said, there may be a part of us that tastes fucking delicious that we don't know about. Why? Because there's a stigma associated with cannibalism, and there's a word, and it's frowned upon in typical society. Yeah, I'm not eating anybody. I don't want to eat anybody. It's kind of fucked up. Seems weird, you know what I mean? Even if the body is dead, like, ugh. And I know that, like, that may be an argument for some people. It's just like if they're dead already, Kyle, you know what I mean? And they didn't want to be an organ donor. They wanted to be eaten or something. Like, why not? A part of them can live on inside you because they're now inside you. Oh, my God. Oh. But what if something did taste good? Try to be objective about this, guys. We're trying to be scientists. Okay, we need to be objective about this. What if something was, in a manner of speaking, like the chicken of the land? Wait, chicken is already on land, Kyle. You know what I'm saying? Like the chicken of being the chicken of the man. How about that? Okay. What if there's something inside of us that is as appealing on a massive scale, like to the majority of humans inside of us? What if the stigma was established by government to keep us from cracking up the next human because we got to have a taste? You want to know how sexy and yummy the dodo was, man? They fucking ate it to extinction, dude. Wait, is the dodo the one they ate? Dodo food. The answer is complicated. It's commonly believed that the dodo went extinct because the Dutch sailors ate the beast to extinction after finding that the bird was incredibly easy to catch due to the fact that they had no fear of humans. Why it didn't fear the creatures many times its size is a mystery for another day. A mystery for another day. In a world so seriously extinct. What were we doing again, guys? On the list of 55 X-rated history facts not taught in schools, we arrive upon number 42. 42 reads, chambermaids to 18th century French aristocrats were expected to masturbate their mail. Teenage charges at bedtime. So as to coax a better night's sleep from them. Lucky. Help wanted, chambermaid, great pay, 10 to 15 minutes of work per day. Oh my God. Give him the old crank-a-lank. Yeah, number 41, baby. Rasputin may have been hung like a horse and would use the amazing pickup line, well, you can't atone for sins unless you've committed some. Let's commit some. Damn, Rasputin. Put it back in your pants. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. Somebody said may have been? I thought they had his penis preserved in a jar of formaldehyde somewhere. And then somebody said, yeah, in Putin's bedroom. And then somebody else said he takes a sip every night before bed. And somebody said, ew, I physically cringe. He said, try taking another sip. You'll feel better. Formaldehyde penis juice in a jar around a dead man's cock. Pirates of the Caribbean, dead man's cock. Woo. Emily sends me a message that says, having to heavily restrain myself from canceling this appointment. You can do it. I believe in you. There's that totally not half-hearted moral support from Kyle in the middle of a list. Why do I even have Skype open? Number 40. Napoleon loved stanky pussy. He wrote his lover instructing her not to wash up before he got back. Damn, nigga. You nasty. Napoleon was a freak. That motherfucker. Ugh. He probably said that so no one else would do her until he got back. Dude, genius. That's psychological genius. I must bow in the face of wisdom on this level. That guy does conquer. Don't wash that pussy until I get back, girl. But really, I'm just trying to keep the other men away. But one thing you learn about men, and one thing you learn about women if they too fly, is that a dude will fuck a stanky pussy. He ain't got to get his face down there. You know what I'm talking about? He'll be like, what's that smell? Oh, whatever. Spread them legs, bitch. You know what I'm talking about? I'm sorry. Why is this turning into a platform for awful riff stand-up? Number 39, man. Frederick von Steuben, who was largely responsible for whipping the Continental troops into proper fighting army, was kicked out of the Prussian army for being gay. Oh no. Ben Franklin convinced him to come to the US only because he told him America, they wouldn't give a shit and would care only that he could fight. When he came over, he brought his boyfriend Pierre and greyhounds with him, promptly fell in love with a man named Ben Walker, who ended up being hired on his aide-de-camp because he spoke German. And at the end of the war, he named the two of them his heirs to keep them in his life. Him being gay was basically the most poorly kept secret in the army, but no one cared because von Steuben was good at what he did. That's very cool. That's very cool. Von Steuben. Von Steuben. He liked to fuck him in the butt. Von Steuben. Daddy, what if I'm gay? Son, you must be good at what you do. And we all like to get fucked in the butt. It's not true. But, you know, this is what you tell a kid so he doesn't feel alienated, doesn't feel like isolated, weirdo, freak baby. Even though that's what we all are at the end of the days as freak babies. We are freak babies, you know what I'm saying? So you'd say to the kid, you'd say, you have to be good at what you do, son. And that legacy will shine. You know, people will know you for what you're good at. And you being gay will be but a footnote, you homo bitch. You don't even have to say no homo, cuz what are you doing, Kyle? Number 38, drunk history really isn't all that accurate. People had literally nothing to do, so they were drunk all the time. Aww. such as during the writing of the American Constitution. Everybody was drunk off their asses when they wrote that, and it still came out better than anything I could ever write sober. Everyone is equal, don't kill each other, slavery is bad, guns are good, say what you want. This was never meant to be a historically accurate rendition of the United States Constitution, shut it. Everybody's probably comment, like, you know, can you imagine just writing something on Reddit one day? Guys, you'll probably never know what that's like. Imagine just making some stupid comment that isn't meant to be taken seriously or be held up, you know, under a fucking microscope as some kind of historical, I don't know, you're making a statement on behalf of the human race or your sex or your gender, you know what I'm talking about? And they're just like fucking holding it to such outrageous and ignorant scrutiny. And you have to let me mute the microphone just for the sake of, you know, coming back to edit my post and saying, it was a joke, you fucking people. Imagine receiving over 1,000 comments from these asshats, just upvoting your post and then having some bullshit to say to you. That's why they all come into the comment section to edit and be like, oh my God, guys. Number 37, many of the Native Americans you read in history books have been translated into their English equivalent. Many times when they haven't, it's because they were raunchy. A name like Buffalo Cum wasn't uncommon. Huh. Buffalo Cum. Cool. Buffalo Cum. Number 36. When mummifying particularly beautiful women, the Egyptians waited several days for the body to deteriorate to stop the men being tempted to fuck them. Somebody said that the guy who wrote this isn't exactly reliable. He talked about giant ants that people used to mine gold in the deserts. But then he also wrote desserts. Is anybody gonna call him on that? Anybody gonna call him on this? You all mining shit in the desserts? Because this is what a dessert is, guys. You know? Spelling's important, my nigga. Like, come on. No, it doesn't matter to some of you people, alright? Giant ants. A giant ant would be interested in dessert. All that sugar. Jeez. Besides, here's the thing, man. A lot of people want to tell you they know about shit that went down back in the day, but they weren't there, so shut the fuck up. You want to know what the coolest thing to do if you had a time machine would be? It would be to go back to some of the events in history and not just like UFOs showing up in the sky, but I'm talking about like, you know what I mean? Like some of these paintings that were people drawing and there's just some bullshit hovering in the sky. You go back to Egypt times and you really just take a camcorder or iPhone and just figure out how the hell they building these corny ass pyramids. You know what I mean? More importantly, why are you building it right here? What do you mean this is in the dead center of the planet? 0 longitude, 0 latitude. Who the fuck told you to build this right here? Because that shit ain't normal. You know what I'm talking about? The dead center of the planet? Y'all don't know anything. Y'all don't know where you at and what's going on. This is kind of weird. Giza is why is Giza here? Why you building it here? Number 35. In West Berlin, born and raised, during the Cold War, East Germans and the Russians who helped them opened a number of gay nightclubs and bars. Hopping. Has 2 P's, Kyle. This is hoping to use them as honey traps to blackmail and embarrass U.S. military personnel who might frequent them. The bars became so popular with underground gay culture in Berlin that they stopped bothering to use them as honey traps because they could make more money by simply running a place as a nightclub and bar. I want to take you to a gay bar. That's fucking amazing. Number 34. A 1st century BCE letter from a Roman poet to his critics translated, "I will sodomize you and face fuck you, cocksucker Aurelius and catamite furious. Who you think because my verses are delicate that I am modest, for it's right for the devoted poet to be chaste or chaste himself. But it's not necessary for his verses to be so. Verses which have taste and charm, if they are delicate and sexy, and can incite an itch. And I don't mean in boys, but in those hairy old men who can't get their flaccid dicks up. You, because you have read my 1,000 kisses, you think I'm a sissy? I will sodomize and face fuck you." I wish this guy was here instead of Poem for Your Sprog. Somebody said, didn't they have Xbox Live back then? Somebody said they didn't know they had Xbox Live back then. Okay. That's nice. Nice. "You son of a bitch. I fucked your mother last night and she wasn't even that good." Number 33. When Rome was founded, it had a distant deficit of women. Emily types into a Skype message again. She says, "I don't want to. I don't like the uncertainty." She's out in public anxietying out as crazy as usual. I don't know why other people are relevant when I go out in public. You know what I mean? I feel like somebody could be rolling around in a wheelchair naked, and somebody could be cartwheeling, with just a Confederate flag suit on, and I just don't care. You can't pay me to care about some people. Number 3, when Rome was founded, it had a deficit. It had a distinct deficit of women. To solve this, they had a big old feast with a neighboring tribe, got everyone drunk, and then killed the men and married the women. Bada bing, a world power is born. Somebody says they didn't kill them, they distracted them and grabbed the women. No one wanted to marry Romans because the first king, Romulus, populated the city through clemency to criminals. A war would be thought to get some of the women back that resulted in Romans allying with the Sabines. Interesting. History is a bit too convoluted. Number 32. History is super rapey. Basically, every time armies did anything like take cities or towns, there was tons of rape. It's true. And like, here's something, this shouldn't be shocking to anybody. I know maybe some young girls listening to this shit don't know that, shit gets as rapey as it gets. But one of the things that I always used to say, and I hate to just get up my own ass or get on a soapbox as usual, but one of the things I always used to say is a lot of people used to romanticize the idea of an apocalypse, some kind of crazy shit occurring where it's like martial law time and we are our own police, you know what I mean? Where everything that we know goes out the window and society falls to shit because there's a real thing going down. It doesn't need to be zombies. It doesn't need to be anything like that. But the bottom line is, the second that kind of shit happens and the people who have been stockpiling guns and shit like that are now able to take to the streets in their pickup trucks and use those guns, if you're a woman, you should be terrified. If you're ethnic, you should be terrified. And if you're not ethnic, you should be terrified because people are fucking terrible. And what they're going to do is they're going to jump in their cars and they're going to kill those niggers. They're going to shoot every Jew they can find, every Asian, and some of the crazy ass Black People Matters dudes are going to jump into the back of their pickup trucks, or maybe they're, I don't know, Kias. I'm kidding. Why they got to be Kias? And the Jews are going to jump in their Lexuses. You know what I'm talking about? Here's what I'm saying. Everybody's going to get in the car and they're just going to go around shooting people who they feel are representing the background or culture that they feel wronged by because they're simple-minded. They're stupid, Many people in the event of an apocalypse would be worried more about survival, maybe burying themselves in a ground or a bunker and hoping to wait out some gangster shit for as long as they could. Other people would just be thinking about getting out there and sticking it to people because they've been dying to live a real life version of like The Purge, where they can just do whatever they want. And women, that shit don't look good for you, especially if you good looking. What that means is you are just going to be snatched and used. The only thing keeping some people from rape is consequence of them going to jail or losing whatever they have in the way of their life. And that's the bottom line. It's pretty sad. But I think the way to look at it is like, you know, some things hit the fan sometimes. And it's always funny how quickly you see people go loot. You know what I mean? And you think to yourself, wow, I would never go loot. You know, but you're not most people. You're not some people that would go do that shit. And if shit were to hit the fan, it would go straight to Rape City. That's my point. Let's move on. Number 31 on the list of X-rated history facts that you weren't taught in school. Hitler tried to give the Jews unto another country and even offered to put them on a boat. However, all the countries said nope, that we don't want them. And you know the rest. Somebody said, yeah, we act like Germany was the only place ripe with anti-Semitism. Those opinions were pretty common around the Western world at the time. But we like to imagine the rest of the West was horrified about the treatment of the Jewish people under the Nazis. And that's why we went to war. That isn't the case. Somebody said, I never heard anyone claim that people went to war because of the treatment of the Jews. That's the scary part, you know what I mean? Is that like, it wasn't the fact that they were gassing and fucking burning the Jews alive that was the main thing that meant them go to war. That's a scary, terrible thing to think. Wow, man. People mistakenly think, yeah, the Holocaust was terrible. That's why we went to war. No, my man. The Allies went to war because Germany and Italy kept invading our allies, and literally giving them countries didn't appease them. Oh, boy. Dude, it was a scary fucking time, dude. It was a scary fucking time because not even was the world horrible, like in a way that you guys will never understand, but the internet wasn't around. So imagine the idea of like information just dying with somebody. There is no camera. There is no net that we can just get some video of and upload that shit, you know, into the cloud before shit gets turned. Oh my God. Just stumbling into a camp and finding piles of bodies and corpses and bony ass motherfuckers looking like they haven't been fed in fucking months. Somehow still hobbling and shifting around like ghoulish shit. If there is a hell, if there is any depiction or imagination capable of processing what images and terrors might exist in a hell, this is what it would look like. And they are running this shit show. And that wasn't enough. That wasn't enough to get people involved. Ooh, boy. Man, let's not lose faith in humanity in this list. It's just a bit of X-rated history facts that they don't teach you in school. Number 30. I learned this in art class. But when Michelangelo was called by the Pope to paint the Sistine Chapel, Michel was like, what the fuck? No. And the Pope said, what the fuck? Yes. And basically kept asking him until he finally did. And he was pissed. He was in his 30s. He liked sculpting more than painting, and the Pope was begging him to do it. Pope basically blackmailed him into doing it because he kind of needed commissions to eat and stuff, and without them he wouldn't. After he got done, the master of ceremonies saw he painted it in the Last Judgment. Oh, he painted in The Last Judgment. He had donkey ears and a snake biting his penis. Michael did it on purpose because he didn't want to paint it, but was forced to. It wasn't just the Pope begging him to do it, says somebody in response. Back then, if you were an artist only, the only way to practice your art was to have wealthy patrons to pay for your materials, meals, etc., while you created their artwork for them. The Pope basically blacklisted Michelangelo until the painting of the chapel, meaning that there would be no way for him to survive until he painted it. That cuck. Fuck you, Pope. You gonna do my shit, bitch. I'ma freeze your Patreon account. Don't freeze my Patreon account, Pope. I'd like to take this time to thank my sexy and overly horny, X-rated patrons. Thank you for doing what you do. I hope the Pope don't come in here and just flip my shit upside down. So this is why I'm taking a minute, sit right there, and let me thank my patrons for being there. Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. As we travel up the list of 55 X-rated history facts not taught in school. How does this guy just do this without even taking a breath? It's like he's some kind of natural entertainer. Oh my God, shut up, Gael. Shut up your mouth. Number 29, pirates loved them some anal sex during the golden age of piracy. More like the brown age, am I right? Gross. What? They would usually take turns being the receptive partner, and it was considered tacky to refuse to be said receptive partner when it was your turn. We always get new guys when they come on the ship with this one. You can use the hole in the barrel every day, but Thursday. Why not Thursday? That's your day in the barrel. I heard this joke, but it was like with a tree. And it was just like you fucking a tree, and it was like the juiciest tree. Ew. Number 28. Ben Franklin was known to participate in an orgy or two. Psh. I just had a really scary thought of someone paying me money to make it like an audio sex tape for them. It was a horrifying thought. Ugh. And it came after I was thinking about the butt sex on pirate ships.
Kyle, I want you to do it. I need to get off, Kyle, to this forever. But I want you to do it like you're a pirate.
And I'll be all like, meow. That's fucking weird, man. I apologize, but I can't not be weird, I guess. Can't not be me. Ben Franklin was known to participate in an orgy or two. Just like Hadu. Number 27. The Roman Emperor Elagabalus, as a show of power, upon entering Rome to become crowned emperor, he had hundreds of naked women drag his chariot down the streets of Rome. I wonder if some of them were big girls with some big titties. Somebody said he was weird as fuck. I remember another story about him where he would stand naked at the entrance of some temple and bid anyone, and I mean anyone, to come and have sex with him in a back room. Interesting. Somebody said not just a temple. Someone reported that Elagabalus would paint his eyes, epilate his body hair, and wear wigs before prostituting himself in taverns, brothels, and even in the imperial palace. While emperor, he married and divorced 5 times. He was assassinated at the age of 18. He was emperor? It should be noted that he was an unpopular ruler, so the history of his life should be taken with a grain of salt. Number 26. This isn't really X-rated, but it's a fun and often forgotten fact nonetheless. We think of Leonardo da Vinci as a wiry old man with a long beard, but according to every record, he was very different. Most accounts describe him as lean and muscled, exceptionally tall, and very handsome. There are records of him being able to effortlessly bend iron horseshoes, crush door knockers, and he was known to earn extra money by challenging local tough guys to see who could throw large rocks furthest. In addition, he liked wearing garish, brightly colored clothes. He was also very generous and was known to wander markets buying caged birds just to let them go. Someone said so. In other words, he's a fucking alien. Why is he an alien? I like to think that if I had a previous incarnation, maybe I was Da Vinci. Da Vinci. Number 25. One of my favorites. Roman Emperor Nero had a young boy by the name of Sporus, castrated, and then he married him. Oh no. He would often appear in public with Nero, wearing the customary garb of a Roman empress. Sporus bore an uncanny resemblance to Nero's first wife, who he kicked to death only a year before. Oh. After Nero died, other men took Sporus as their wife. He's a little boy. Look, number 24, gross. Diddling kiddles back in time. Kid rape, baby. Number 24. Mozart was very fond of scatological humor. Scatological. He wrote several songs about shitting on people or just shitting in general. And he also sent some really filthy letters to his sister. I like the idea of sending filthy letters to his sister. Somebody said, didn't he write a song called Lick My Ass? What the fuck? Lick Me in the Ass is a canon in B flat major composed by You know what? Somebody said classical era Filthy Frank. Filthy Mozart. Mischievous Mozart. Number 23, Alfred Hitchcock basically ended Tippi Hedren's career because she refused to sleep with him after he made her a star. Who Tippi Hedren again? Oh, she was in that Bird movie. What you mean you not gonna sleep with me, bitch? You know what I mean? You know what? You know that's why the producers usually get them to sleep with them before anything. See, they're on to their game. Hitchcock didn't even pretend to not be a dick about some things. After he got flack for saying actors are cattle, he called the newspaper and told them he meant to say actors should be treated as cattle. Treated as cattle. Number 22. In ancient Rome, babies were considered people until they were older. No, they weren't considered people. Interesting. So if you gave birth to a child that you didn't want, you could dispose of it in the same place where you disposed of all your other unwanted substances that came out of your body. The outhouse, the toilet, the poop hole, or in a field. No one questioned this unless the child was obviously of a certain age. Wait a minute. Is that kid standing up? Come on, guys. That's a person now, okay? Cheers. Archaeologists find a lot of baby skeletons when they discover the toilets and sewers near the ruins of Roman brothels. Somebody said it's not just ancient times. Up until about the 1920s, doctors and midwives in the U.S. would routinely euthanize deformed or defective children shortly after birth. A good portion of the reduction in birth mortality during the early 20th century was due to moving births in hospitals where the practice was banned. Wow. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. Number 21. Isaac Newton was obsessed with the lost art of alchemy. He also was said to have died a virgin, but had a strange obsession with blood, specifically the menstrual blood of horse, which he thought had magical properties. I need like a noise where, you know, it plays the kind of like the chimes and it's like magical sounding. Oh boy. Let me actually I'm gonna look that up. Don't hurt me. Okay, fine, I won't. Asshole. Why you gotta be a dick about it? The walls of his room were painted red for this reason. Little known physics fact. Sir Isaac Newton had thought that the menstrual blood, the period blood of a slut, whore, fucking had magical properties. What the binganom? I just said this. What the actual fuck, Newton? Magic menstrual blood? Magic menstrual. Number 20. The first thing the father of microbiology, Anton van Leeuwenhoek, put under a microscope was semen. They understood that semen was integral to the creation of life, but they didn't yet understand the concept of single-cell organisms. He fully expected to see tiny little humans in his jizz. So yeah, the first thing he did was whack off on a slide and look at it. Well, to be honest with yourself, guys, if we had created something that we could see really small shit with, the first thing that we would do is I'm not joking with you. We would either it could only be shit that's coming out of our body, by the way. So it's going to be one of a couple of things. It's either going to be shit, you know, kind of nasty, but it is what it is. A booger, something, just dig in your nose, get something out of there. You know what I'm talking about? Put that on there. Like you ever just hawk up a loogie and it's really gross and like membraney, you know what I mean? Put that under there. So there's poop, booger, phlegm, like snotty phlegm, maybe some like crud from your belly button, maybe earwax, you know what I'm talking about? It was only gonna be shit that came out of your fucking body. So semen seems like a great choice, you know? Because what the hell else are we going to put under? We're going to put like some orange juice under there, some shit like that. Boring. We got to put something cool under a microscope. Take it from Kyle, you know what I mean? I'd like to take a special chance to thank my sexy patrons once again. You know, just talking about a little bit of that phlegm, belly button crud coming out of my snotty phlegm time tonight. I love you all, God. As we go up the list of 55 X-rated history facts, we're coming down to the wire here. Number 19. Nearly every coupling in history was between third cousins or closer. Roughly 80% of all marriages in history have been between second cousins or closer. You, me, and everyone else is descended from cousin marriages. We all think about it as something British royals or Alabama rednecks had going on, but up until the 1900s, virtually no one married complete strangers. Somebody said that explains why we're all retarded. And then somebody wrote, "Speak for yourself," in a really ridiculously Sean Connery jokes in the chat. Come on, man. Number 18. Woo. Okay. John Harvey Kellogg, yes, the Kellogg on your sugary cereals, hated masturbation and thought it would rot your child's brain. He thought spicy foods made you sexually excited, and so people were convinced that giving your child bland foods would help keep their hormones at bay. This made Kellogg put into production all these bland tasting cereals and graham crackers, which had little to no sugar back then, to keep your children from popping boners. As an added extent, this is incredible, I'm loving this, we're learning things, he would advise parents to sew your young boy's foreskin closed without anesthesia and pour carbolic acid on your young girl's clitoris. He would brag about not having sex with his wife for 20 years. Let me read this again. John Harvey Kellogg. What the hell is an interesting thing doing on this list? John Harvey Kellogg, the same guy who made the cereal, hated masturbation and thought that it would rot your child's brain. He thought spicy foods made you sexually excited, and so people were convinced that giving your child bland foods would keep their hormones at bay. The cereals and the graham crackers' bland-ass taste was to keep your kids from popping boners, and to an added extent, he advised parents to sew their little boys' dick foreskins closed without anesthesia. That's a very confusing, icing on that cake, motherfuckers. And to pour carbolic acid on your young girl's clit. In females, John Harvey fucking Kellogg. What the fuck? Masturbation prevention. This list got chilling in a fucking hurry. This list got chilling in a hurry. What the hell? I'm okay. I'm okay, everybody. Let's continue up this list here. Okay, number 17. My understanding is that most common folk throughout much of history had very meager lodgings, and most families would sleep together, both for warmth as well as the simple fact that they didn't have the space for people to sleep separately. If mom and dad were in the mood to procreate, the rest of the family was just there. Let the boy watch. He needs to learn the way I learned from my father and the way he learned from his father. Oh my God. Number 16. Vlad the Impaler, the 15th century leader of what is today Romania, and also the inspiration for the character Dracula, was extremely creative in coming up with painful ways to kill prisoners. He decided that impaling through the ass with a sharp wooden stake and letting a horse pull you until it came out through your face wasn't painful enough. So he decided to stop using sharply pointed stakes, and the horse instead switched to impaling people with a flat stake and turning it vertically as to allow gravity to do all the work. That way, none of your organs get pierced, so the process takes a lot longer. He would also sometimes have his meals brought to him while he watched this happen, so that helped inspire the myth that he was eating the people he killed. Vlad was considered a hero to the people of now Romania. He impaled his victims as a way of deterring people from outside his lands from entering. Around the time Dracula Untold was being advertised on TV, I was dating a girl who immigrated here from Transylvania with her family. Her dad was super excited for the movie because, according to him, Vlad was a great man. Okay. Number 15, man. Benjamin Franklin was known to take air baths, where he would sit in a room for hours totally nude. He believed it was good for overall health. Aw, we all need to do that. Get out of here, I'm taking a bath. Monsieur, this is the kitchen. It's an air bath, you fool. You fool. I'm bathing in the air. Number 14. The French government sent free prostitutes to the actual pirates of the Caribbean to fight all the situational homosexuality that would arise, so they can get all the STDs and shitty dicks, you know what I mean? Do you want a urinary tract infection, lass? Because this is how you get a urinary tract infection. Oh, the unwashed cock and balls. Can you imagine a prostitute getting out there just going, I don't get paid enough for this. Jesus Christ. Situational homosexuality. The name of your sex tape. Somebody said, if I am recalling correctly, didn't the pirates just take on the prostitutes? Listen, lass, you're good in the sack, but are ye good at plundering booty? What the hell? Number 13, Benjamin Franklin had a girl I'd like to fuck fetish. Oh, a grandma I'd like to fuck fetish. Ooh. He wrote a long letter to a friend advising of the benefits of taking an older woman as a mistress. His reasons included, they are more thankful for the attention, they are more adventurous than younger women, they are experienced and need not be trained, they are less likely to betray you in favor of another man. He also was very clear that the face ages, but the downstairs does not. Oh. In the dark, all cats are gray. Why are you fucking cats? Easy mistake in the dark. Number 12. Not specifically to any person in history, but if you go to South Korea, vendors will sell these little letter openers that make nice souvenirs with a little sheath. Historically, women carried them so that they would kill themselves if they were ever raped. Oh no. Oh no. If you go to South Korea, vendors will sell these little letter openers that make nice souvenirs. Historically, women carried them so they could kill themselves if they were ever raped. Somebody said, couldn't they use them as protection from the rape? Please don't be a joke in this next comment, because we're all thinking couldn't they use it for protection. Somebody else said, you should go back in time and sell the same thing, but with that purpose instead. Oh, boy. Look, this may be some masterclass shit, okay? And maybe there's weapons and guns involved sometimes, but I always like to think, if I were a frail little lady, I'm just gonna have a drink of my soda real quick. Okay. That soda's flat as a motherfucker. Anyway, here's what I'm saying. If I was a little lady, some dude ran up on me trying to rape me. He was just bigger than, he was too big. He's too big for me. Not downstairs, you know what I mean? He's just a big guy. He's overpowering me, etc. I think I'd have to turn on the charm and be all like, oh, feels pretty good or something, Try to work my way onto my knees, to make it happen. And then just bite that dick off. You know what I'm talking about? Bite that dick off. Okay, let's go to number 11. King Louis. What is this? 10 VI the 16th? King Louis the 16th had trouble impregnating Marie Antoinette because he had phimosis or phimosis. I'm not sure what that is. Let's find out what it is together. Phimosis is a condition in which the foreskin of the penis cannot be pulled back past the glands. A balloon-like swelling under the foreskin may occur. Oh my God. But if you came and you had a penis that couldn't come out because the foreskin sealed, wouldn't it then get infected? That wouldn't, surely you'd get infected if you ever found a way to come. At the time, he was fascinated with locks, so his opponents made jokes about the locksmith having trouble finding the keyhole. Somebody says, please stop commenting about your degenerate penises. I don't need to know. Somebody says phimosis is designed as the inability to retract the foreskin of the penis covering the head. Somebody say, yikes. Yeah. Somebody said, I Googled it. I got this result. It's not safe for, it doesn't say not safe for work, so let's go. Oh. Come on. Somebody said phimosis is a really shitty condition. I discovered recently that I had it, and the only solution is having surgery. I won't be able to get laid until I get my first salary. Well, it's a hell of a thing to look forward to, young buck. I hope nobody in my, cult has had phimosis. That would suck. Guys, leave a comment if you had or know somebody with that. It's pretty scary stuff. Number 10. Anne Frank had talked a lot about masturbation and lust in her original diary. And here's an excerpt. Once, when I was spending the night at Jacquet's, I could no longer restrain my curiosity about her body, which she'd always hidden from me, and which I'd never seen. I asked her whether, as proof of our friendship, we could touch each other's breasts. Jacquet refused. I also had a terrible desire to kiss her, which I did. Every time I see a female nude, such as the Venus in my art history book, I go into ecstasy. Sometimes I find them so exquisite I have to struggle to hold back tears. If only I had a girlfriend. Oh, poor young Anne Frank. Poor girl. Somebody said, I hate that people were shocked and appalled at that. It was her fucking diary. Yeah. That's pretty crazy, dude. It's probably the most famous diary, but just the idea that in the future they go, oh shit, it's some girl diary. Post that shit, nigga. Publish that shit. Yes, baby. Make that money. Fuck me. Somebody's getting money for Anne Frank's diary or private diary. As we reach number 9, it reads, after reading this thread, I bet every single moderator of Ask Historians currently has a migraine. What, because people getting shit wrong? You know what I'm talking about? Number 8. Oh boy, come on, man. A love letter from the famous writer James Joyce to his beloved. My sweet little whorish Nora, I did as you told me, you dirty little girl, and pulled myself off twice when I read your letter. I am delighted to see that you do like being fucked ass ways. Yeah. Now I can remember that night when I fucked you for so long backwards. It was the dirtiest fucking I ever gave you, darling. My prick was stuck in you for hours. Fucking in and out under your upturned rump. I felt your fat, sweaty buttocks against my belly and saw your flushed face and mad eyes, and every fuck I gave your shameless tongue came bursting out through your lips, and if I gave you a bigger, stronger fuck than usual, fat, dirty farts came spluttering out of your backside. You had an ass full of farts that night, darling, and I fucked them out of you. Big fat fellows, long windy ones, quick little merry cracks, and a lot of tiny little naughty farties at the end, and a long gush from your hole. It is wonderful to fuck a farting woman when every fuck drives one out of her. I think I would know Nora's fart anywhere. I think I could pick hers out in a room full of farting women. It is a rather girlish noise, that not like the wet, windy fart which I imagine fat wives have. It is a sudden and dry and dirty, like what a bold girl would let off in a school dormitory at night. I hope Nora will let off no end of farts in my face, so that I may know their smell also. You say when I go back you will suck me off, and you want me to lick your cunt, you little depraved blackguard. I hope you will surprise me sometime when I am asleep, dressed. Steal over to me with a whore's glow in your slumberous eyes. Gently undo button after button in the fly of my trousers, and gently take out your lover's fat Mickey. Lap it up your moist mouth and suck away at it until it gets fatter and stiffer and comes off in your mouth. Sometimes, too, I shall surprise you asleep, lift your skirt and open your drawers gently, then lie down gently by you and begin to lick lazily around your bush. You will begin to stir uneasily, then I will lick the lips of my darling's cunt. You will begin to groan and grunt and sigh and fart with the lust in your sleep, then I will lick up faster and faster like a ravenous dog until your cunt is a mess of slime and your body wriggling wildly. Good night, my little farting Nora, my little dirty fuck bird. There is only one lovely word, darling, you have underlined to make me pull myself off better. Write me more about that and yourself. Sweetly dirtier. I need a shower, says one man. I need a cigarette, says another man. I need both of those things, says another man. And some man says, I need a fart. Wow. Wow, dude. Wow. We're going to Reddit. We're going to YouTube right now. James Joyce. Love letter. It's been read by Funny or Die. I didn't know. That sucks. They jumped on this 3 years ago, dude. Holy shit. They've made a series out of this shit. Those bastards. Holy hachi machi, man. Number 7. X-rated history facts the schools won't teach you. Number 7. The vibrator was invented for doctors who were getting carpal tunnel from using their fingers to give female patients orgasms in order to treat hysteria. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Orgasms in a female were a way to cure hysteria back in them days. Somebody says, I'm on holiday in Prague with my friends. We visited the Sex Machine Museum for a laugh. Came out having actually learned a thing or two about religion, medicine, social practices, and of course machinery. Happily and highly recommended. What the hell, guys? You know Destiny 2 is coming out tonight. No, it's not. It's coming out tomorrow at fucking like in the afternoon. So I got another day of not doing anything. Oh, man. I should stream tonight. Was supposed to stream tomorrow. Yesterday. I'm sorry. I just got really tired, man. You know, these things happen. I love you guys. Ugh. Number 6. When Blackbeard blockaded Charleston Harbor in 1718, he didn't ask for gold. He demanded medicine. Oh, the salacious part of his request is what type of medicine he requested. You see, he requested mercury and injection equipment. Back in the day, mercury injected into the urethra was thought to be a cure for gonorrhea. And after a long stint in the brothels of Barbados, most of the men in his fleet were completely infested with gonorrhea. Ugh. Thus, Blackbeard the pirate captured Charleston Harbor because his man parts were causing him issues, so to speak. Oh, jeez. Oh my God. Number 5. Julie d'Aubigny was a famous 17th century French opera singer who once took the holy vows to enter a convent just so she could have sex with a nun. She also had a habit of seducing women at parties, which would lead their husbands to challenge her to a duel. She was an expert duelist and killed 10 men like this. What kind of floozy ass hoe is going to a party and you married and you getting seduced by another lady? And then the man would challenge the woman to a duel and lose the duel. I challenge you to a duel. Oh, fuck you, bitch. Oh, that's my wife, bitch. God damn. In order to run away with her new love, she stole the body of a dead nun, placed it in the bed of her lover, and set the room on fire to cover their escape? What the bing bong? Damn, lady. This woman is cold as a motherfucker. In Villeperdue, still wearing men's clothing, she was insulted by a young nobleman. They fought a duel and she drove her blade through his shoulder. The next day she asked about his health and found out he was Louis Joseph d'Albert Luynes, the son of a Duke of Luynes. Later, one of the companions came to offer d'Albert's apologies. She went to his room and subsequently they became lovers. And later, lifelong friends. An anime storyline if ever I've seen one. What the fuck? Number 4, man. Look, it wouldn't be the first time that women that people end up loving have wounded them. You know what I'm talking about? Wound me. Number 4. Royals would get people to watch them have sex so that there was confirmation of their offspring being a legitimate heir. Okay. Listen, number 3. The U.S. government tried undermining Sukarno's rule over Indonesia by hiring a random Hispanic guy who apparently looked like Sukarno to do a porno and distributing it to the people of Indonesia. The idea was that this tape would further Sukarno's image as a lecherous womanizer and cause a negative reaction from the conservative Muslim population. Apparently, Sukarno was thrilled and thought it was great. He allegedly bragged about it, and the people of Indonesia simply didn't care. Somebody said, even crazier, the KGB made an actual sex tape with Sukarno, intending to blackmail him with it, and he asked for extra copies instead. The balls on this dude. The balls. Number 2, Frankenstein author Mary Shelley lost her virginity on her mother's grave. What a fucking goth. Also, she carried around her dead husband's heart in a bag until her death. What kind of Edgar Allan Poe ass shit? As when she burned his body, it was only part of what the fuck? When she burned his body, it was the only part of him that didn't burn. Several people have pointed out that it was actually his liver. Like that makes it any better. Somebody said the original goth. Okay. She wrote fucking Frankenstein. She is a patron saint of goths. God damn. Do you think the guy even knew it was his mom's grave, or it was just like,
Hey, wouldn't it be hot to fuck in this graveyard? You see these big ass titties? You want it or not? It's all yours right now, right here.
and he's just like, all right, let's do it. And then in the middle of it, she's just like,
How you like that, Mom? Fuck you.
and he's like, what? And he's like,
Shut up. Keep going.
how do you like that, Mom? As we reach number 1 on the list of 55 X-rated history facts not taught in schools. I read 55 of them. I read 55. Gotta love me. We reach number 1. Victor Hugo slept with so many prostitutes that on the day he died, all of the brothels in Paris were closed because so many of the prostitutes took the day off to mourn him. Somebody said that sounds like a Monty Python sketch. It really does. Oh my God. Just now in my head when I was saying I read 55, You Gotta Love Me, I recognized that one of them was actually just a comment about the list itself, as usual, like some assholes just like, oh, this list, oh, it's probably making all the people from Ask Historians come and be all like, oh, boy. So let's go down to... Jesus Christ, it didn't close them all like it's supposed to. Fucking work. Show all comments. Now hide all comments. Okay. So when I scroll down, mate, they better all be hidden. And now they're not hidden again. What the fuck? Jeez, anyway. Number 56. Just so that we can say I read 55. In Greece, they teach us a lot about ancient Greece, obviously, but they dare not mention to any the homosexuality because the church would go mad. There was a lot of homosexuality in Greece, I'm guessing? Good. Okay. Is that all? Gilles de Rais. This guy is scary as fuck. French child serial killer and soldier in arms with Joan of Arc. One of the most fucked up people I've unfortunately read about. Some estimate places it in the hundreds, some as high as 800 kids killed. Not for the faint of heart. Aside from the actual murdering and torturing, one insane fact was that people knew this was happening, but he was a rich nobleman and thus had a lot of power and influence. In his own confession, he testified that when the said children were dead, he kissed them, and those who had the most handsome limbs and heads, he held up to admire them, and had their bodies cruelly cut open and took delight at the sight of their inner organs. And very often when the children were dying, he sat on their stomachs and took pleasure in seeing them die and laughed. Well, you asked for it. Christopher Columbus kidnapped a Caribbean woman and gave her to his crew to rape. Oh. But there you go. You know, Emily live tweets me. Even though it's not a tweet. She live messages me. So I'm live notifying you guys about her messaging me in this ridiculous fashion all the time. Fucking Emily over here. Let me fucking call her right now and get her in on this list and she won't know it. Please pick up the phone. Please pick up the phone. Yeah, she hung right the fuck up. She know what's up. Look, there's a video on the front page that says this girl pissed in a cup and put it on their table in a club. Oh, we don't want to watch that. No, we do not. Everybody freaking out because the new Doctor Who is a woman. Doctor Who makes sci-fi history by casting a woman as the lead, and meanwhile we got, you know, Captain Janeway from Star Trek Voyager, which was a really good Star Trek. Okay, Voyager was really great. Okay, it's a good show. You should watch it, guys. I love you to death. Special sexy thanks to my patrons as usual, guys. I got some stuff to do for some patrons, like. You know, people have been making requests, so I got to get them out. Some of those videos are going to be silly, but you know, some of the people really want them on the channel for whatever reason. So just do what you do with the other stuff you don't like and don't watch it. Love you. Talk to you later. Bye.